Welcome everyone. Am right on time at 5:15. Sorry, that's Central Time, 6:15 Eastern, for one of the later sessions of the day. I hope you were getting a lot out of the Reconnect conference this year, and really looking forward to getting the feedback. I think the Excel event feature has been quite well done, and my applause to Christine and the entire Quest team. My name is Randy Johnson, and I am here to talk to you about the exciting topic of lease administration. And we're going to spotlight one of our customers, ANZ Bank, down in Australia, and the implementation that they did, and some of the lessons learned that we had going into it and executing on that. And how we accomplished our goals. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and go right into my PowerPoint presentation. I won't be checking the questions very frequently, but I will bounce over from time to time. However, I will tell you, I do not expect that this session will take an entire hour. And so there should be plenty of time at the end. I'll check then, and if there are questions, great. If not, we'll hang out and we'll wait for the questions to roll in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll share my entire screen. If you've seen any of these sessions, you're going to see that it does this mirroring effect until I actually go to my other application that is up, and it is here. So here we are, 6:15 Eastern, and my topic of the day, my second topic actually for today, and I have one tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Lease administration, lease management at ANZ Bank. And this is me. If you happen to have a LinkedIn app on your phone, you can fire it up and you can actually snap that QR code and we will be linked instantaneously. It's a pretty cool feature. For those of you that want to email me, feel free. I accept all emails. That's my email, randall.johnson@spearmc.com. When this document is made available and posted, there's also hyperlinks out here that you can click on to get me at email or via LinkedIn. These are the list of SpearMC sessions that have been conducted. We are near the end of the third day today, and I do want to point out that one of my earlier sessions, the PeopleSoft expenses, the expense module that was implemented at Hackensack Memorial Health in New Jersey, that session was rescheduled, so that's tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Eastern time. So hopefully you'll get some sleep between now and then, and join me tomorrow for this session. So this session was shifted, but these are the listings of the. There's actually two more that were added that Marcus Bodie was doing. 14 sessions that SpearMC was participating in or leading at the conference this year. SpearMC is a national organization. We will be going international here at some point in late 2021. We're going to open up an office in Canada, is our plan. And we've grown. We're in every continental time zone in the United States, across the country. We opened our first office in San Francisco on Spear Street, and hence our name SpearMC. And Chicago, which is where I'm from, was our second office. And that's where the founder, Marcus Bodie, and I, along with several other managing directors at SpearMC, worked together in a dream that we would one day become audit partners at KPMG. Happily, I'm here to say we saw the light, and here we are at SpearMC, continuing to thrive in the PeopleSoft world. We've been recognized now by Gartner in our expertise in the PeopleSoft space. Really pleased that we're getting this level of recognition. And we continue as a firm to focus in the PeopleSoft pillar. Well over 90%, 95, I would say, of our projects in our revenue is driven still to this day by the PeopleSoft product line. We do all pillars: financials, HCM, supply chain, lease administration, campus solutions. We're in enterprise learning management. So any pillar that you can think of, we are focused on, and we have experts in every module that is out there in PeopleSoft today. Our services have morphed over the years. We started off primarily focused on training and staff augmentation services. Then we rolled into full service integration, system integration, project management, leadership, thought leadership, across all pillars of PeopleSoft: financials, HCM, ELM, campus. And we've moved into more of a long-term managed services approach, where we provide services on hosting with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. We provide managed services in just managing the system administration, database administration, or functional support. It's across the board. It really is dependent on where the needs are with our customers. We've been doing a lot of work in the emerging technologies, and that would be the tool sets that Oracle is delivering in the later images and tools releases of the application. So think Kibana and chatbots. Lots of our presentations have been focused on the emerging newness that you get as a part of your maintenance payments to Oracle for the PeopleSoft product. And then, of course, we still, to this day, will continue and always will treasure training as a key service offering. In fact, I'm going to talk about that when we talk about the project at ANZ Bank. As far as managed services are considered, we are very flexible in the types of managed services that we have. We can even have flexible contracts with you where we have rollover hours if that's of interest to you, so that you don't use it or lose it with your support dollars. We have seen a lot of focus in recent years. A lot of you out there are already fully implemented in PeopleSoft. You have a great internal team, but you're struggling to keep up with the images, and you might be losing focus of what's next. And we believe that without a strategic roadmap, first of all, how do you know where you're going, and how do you know when you get there? So helping our clients understand the roadmap, and starting with understanding where are your issues, where are your pain points, and what can we fix now, and what can we fix as we move down the line. This is an ever-changing document, but with this, now you can see that your investment in PeopleSoft will continue to improve. We don't have to sit with the status quo. We can continue to improve on everything that you're doing in the PeopleSoft ecosystem and really start to take advantage of those features and functions that are ever present in the latest images, and they keep coming. Once a quarter, we're seeing images roll out, or even more frequently sometimes. And the tools releases that have such great, rich product features and functions. This, with your roadmap, we think the focus can continue to be keep the processes rolling that are your internal back office processes, but focus on a continuous improvement agenda. All right. Our client, the spotlight client, is ANZ Bank. They say Z. It is Z in my world, but ANZ stands for Australia, New Zealand, and that was where they were founded. That is where they are headquartered in Australia. But they, as you'll see in my next slides, are in well over 30 countries now, and had a lot of leases in many of those countries. 39,000 employees worldwide. They focus in the financial well-being, financial services industry. The largest bank by far in Australia. This is their global presence. These numbers are not indicative of how many branches or banks they have. It's the the countries that they're in and the order that they rolled into those particular countries. So I think 30, 31 might be where they're at these days. Okay. Now, with ANZ being in Australia, headquartered in Australia, the accounting basis that they are subject to is IFRS, so the International Accounting Standard Board, and in an unbelievable show of cooperation, the Financial Accounting Standards Board in the U.S., the IFRS, and the Governmental Accounting Standards Board pretty much came together and had similar, they weren't exact, but they were quite similar rule sets when it came to changing the accounting for lease standards, okay, lease accounting standards, which was great because it allowed Oracle to focus on ASC 842 and then extend that into IFRS 16 and GASB 87 to cover their bases on all of the accounting rules changes. And that was thanks to the surprising coordination from those bodies. Our project at ANZ Bank was initiated in January 2019, which was just last year, because I think we can all agree 2020 didn't count. We're just going to ignore 2020. When I was looking at this, I thought, wow, that was a long time ago, but really it was only one business year ago. And our goal was October 2019, which is the beginning of ANZ's fiscal year. And you'll see, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. We succeeded. I'm happy to say our plan was successful. And we met those dates, and we did it in a number of ways, in a number of stages that I'll get into here. We were engaged as an advisory service component. ANZ wanted to utilize the agile implementation methodology, which worked great, especially given the rolling number of countries that we had to deploy to. Function was spectacular. Project was managed by ANZ in the PMO office, and we then provided the functional expertise, functional technical expertise to augment the ANZ team. Let's see, our role was, it talks about training, and that is near and dear to everyone at SpearMC's heart. When we are involved in a project such as this, that involves the implementation of a new module, a very complex, critical new module, we insist on starting our projects with training, and that's not end user training, that is project team training. You're going to actually get a very, very light preview of what we cover in our project team training in the slides that I have that follow. And I wanted to just show you those because I think it's important for you to understand the importance of training your internal project team on the design decisions and the configuration considerations that need to be put in place for a long-lasting design. These, as you know, all of you know, when you do a PeopleSoft implementation, getting the configuration right is critical up front. It will save you years of headache and rework and extra steps by simply taking lessons learned, understanding the right decision points and what needs to happen in your module implementation. And we call that project team training, critical. So our projects, such as these, they start and they end with training. Project team training at the beginning, user training at the end. We wanted to make sure that the ANZ team, which was spread across the world, was involved in each and every step along the project, understood the decisions that needed to be made, and was involved and had a voice. And I think we did a pretty spectacular job of doing it. So our role was basically to be coach and and get the ANZ team, the quite capable ANZ team, the tools that they needed to get the project rolling. So the SPRC footprint of resources was relatively small. We had 3 key resources on the project. I participated in weekly status calls, and the ANZ team, by and large, took the lion's share of the work and moved forward. One of the requirements in our mandate was this middle bullet that is bolded, which is that there shall be no customization. We knew that given the IFRS requirement, we needed to implement Image 32 and do some selective adoption from Image 33, which was in the works, in the plan. We were able to accomplish that. And for data conversion, within those images, there was a data loader for lease administration that was, it worked. ASC 842 worked fine. We found the need to do some of our own work through Excel to CI uploads because of the slight differences with IFRS 16. We developed, the only development we had, and we didn't consider it a customization, was around the Excel to CI templates for data conversion. More on that in a few slides. We didn't do any custom reporting. We did do a number of custom queries, if you call them custom, queries from the ground up that the team used for data validation and conversion, as well as then for ongoing support of the traditional lease administration monthly processes. And we, in the lease loader at the time, you still needed to manually activate and trigger each and every single lease, even if you use the delivered loader or our Excel to component interface template. We needed to activate each of those manually. So that was just a step in each conversion test and the final move to production. The project covered over 20 countries. We didn't have to do every country because not every country had leases. So over 20 countries. By far the most leases were in Australia and New Zealand, and then Asia had the predominant remaining number of leases, and India. So that was the focus, and that was, as we did our agile approach, how we extended the lease administration solution from Australia, New Zealand, and then into the Asian countries. Let's see, the data collection, I'd mentioned this. We really needed to build that Excel to CI and refine that. That took, frankly, again, spoiler alert, we were successful on this project, but this effort took longer than we had anticipated for 2 reasons. One, there was no central repository that existed for all the leases in the 30 plus countries or 20 plus countries that had leases. They were all scattered, and so we needed to start to corral those in Excel, and that simply took more effort than we had anticipated. And I think we did a credible job. It was actually started by the ANZ team before we even began the project, and just rounding that out and making sure that we had everything covered took more time than we thought. There was also the aforementioned queries that had to be built for data validation that were used each time we had a mock conversion, and then of course on the final cutover. So we had the Excel to CI process for loading the lease assets, and then also creating the leases. So 2-step component interface. And then we created a process that did the linkage between AM and lease administration. These are all natural things that happen if you create your lease online. We need to simulate that through the process. And then we had to activate them manually, lease by lease. Okay. That is what we did. Let's see what accomplishments for Spear MC. This was our first IFRS 16 global implementation. We were thrilled to have accomplished that. We did execute it within time and within budget. It's funny because back then, and way back in 2019, it wasn't that common for an entire project at Spear MC to be handled mostly remote. And it really set the tone. It's funny what can happen in 18 months, but that was an accomplishment for us. We actually did a spectacular job of managing time zones and getting functions working across the globe. I think the project team at ANZ was in at least 4 or 5 major countries, all with significantly different time zones, and we were fully trained on the ANZ side before we went through the full deployment. The training was spectacular. Okay. And I'm proud to say, accomplished the goal, the mandate, that there be no customizations. There were none. We were able to accomplish all IFRS 16 reporting, accounting appropriately without customizing the system in any way. A brief highlight that compares the 3 accounting bases, right? So you've got ASC 842, and all 3 of these are the rule sets that apply to lease accounting changes. ASC 842, which is the default essentially with lease administration in PeopleSoft. IFRS 16, you can see they're very, very similar. Just a few differences on exemptions, on right of use amortization, and then the operating functionality between ASC 842 and IFRS 16. And then GASB over here, similar to IFRS 16 in finance operating payables leases, but GASB was the only accounting board to mandate changes on receivables leases as well. And just a side note, Oracle determined that for the GASB receivable lease accounting, that gap, they were not going to develop a solution around that gap. It was a decision that Oracle made. And so Spear MC has developed that solution. Our first implementation was at the state of Montana, and I'm not going to embarrass you, Coulter, but I saw you were on the call, so welcome. Hope all is well with you. And special call out to you because you were our first GASB 87 revenue lease customer, and trust all is well with you. Anyway, there's our comparison. Our focus with ANZ Bank was IFRS 16. And as you'll see in your installation options, you kind of have to pick one. Not kind of, you have to pick one. And I'll show you here in a second. I'm not going to bore you with all the integrations that are out there. It's a module in PeopleSoft, but what I will tell you is you have to have asset management. And in fact, Oracle might not want me to say this, but you get some limited use license if you own asset management to use lease administration. There are gaps in what you get. You don't get parent-child relationship, but you do get the ability with your asset management license to do the accounting functions on ASC 842, IFRS 16, and GASB 87. Without Spear MC's solution, you can't do the revenue side of GASB, and that is built not in asset management, but in lease administration. There's a large number of other benefits that you get from the module that you would not have. For example, all of the analytics and reporting that are delivered through the module, not through your limited use access through asset management. So very limited. My recommendation is if you have less than 30 total leases and they're all payable leases, you might be able to survive with the limited use license of asset management. So just as a consideration. With ANZ Bank, it was not going to be the case. Too many to consider just the limited use license. This is on the left-hand side, essentially the punch list of the configuration, the design decisions that have to be made, and the configurations that need to be set up to make lease administration work in your organization. This is actually straight out of XperiMC's project team training. And so we go through these topics in great detail with your project team, and even go through a production copy with lease administration beginning to be turned on, so that we have hands-on activities that are essentially giving you the steps that you're going to go through when you do the implementation of the model, right? And I have several boring slides. I pre-apologize that show you what those designs and what it looks like as you step through those. Okay. But the reason I didn't want to dwell on all of the integrations is I just want to leave you with the key critical marriage in lease administration is with the asset management module. You essentially have an asset for every lease that goes into leasing. Okay. When you go to turn it on, there's this super important thing that happens. That's sort of the point of no return, right? So as you're doing your implementation, you're going to say we're going to start applying the accounting rules changes, and here we're saying for whatever accounting basis you're in. Okay, there's another screen I'll show you where you pick which one you're in, but this is at the installation options, high level. Okay, so first you're saying I've installed it, right? You click it on as installed, and you only do that, by the way, when you've licensed it legally with Oracle. And once you do that, you come here, and this is where you're going to say, and this is already saved, so I don't have a screenshot of what it looks like right before you save it, but this is the transition date. This is the date that you're saying systematically, I moved from the old accounting basis, presumably ASC 840, I think, to the new one, and this was my transition date. You get one shot at this, all right? So we got to be careful. That's your transition date. Where you set up your lease, oh gosh, I thought I had the screenshot of where you actually say which accounting basis. Maybe it's in another slide or two. In your installation options, you're also going into your asset management, and you're adding transaction types. Once you click the module as being installed, there's a bunch of new fields that pop up in the asset management installation options that you've got to populate. And a lot of them actually will have values there, and we found just let it go. Keep whatever is out there. And as you can see, all of the features that are out in asset management, those you shouldn't be changing. You shouldn't be altering any of the installation options, but you do want to make sure that you have the lease expense type that is down there for lease administration. That and your lease payments are going to be out there as new values that you've got to make sure get populated. So don't forget that there's more than just as lease administration installation options that you've got to change. And then on your business unit definitions, this is just through your standard setup, but there are changes that need to be made. Obviously, you have to set up your lease administration business units, and somewhat unique to this module, you can't create new ones. You can only create ones where the asset management business unit already. Okay, so So when you go to create a new lease administration business unit, if you don't have asset management as a module, well, you can't do it. You have to have asset management business units set up, and then you can make lease administration business units that are related to them. Okay. Okay, so this is where you go at the business unit level, where you say which accounting basis the business unit is subject to. And so it may look like these are check boxes that allow you to pick both. You can't. You can only pick one of these or none of these. If you pick none of these, that's telling the system that this business unit is subject to ASC 842. That's the default. If you pick one, it is no longer ASC 842, and it is either IFRS or GASB for that particular business unit. Okay, so just be aware, if you are subject to, and our fine friends at ANZ Bank were subject to IFRS, we needed to turn that on for them. If they had been GASB, I suppose, in a business unit, we would turn it on for them here. All right. And if they were ASC 842, we would have left them blank. Let's see, in the asset management business unit, there will be a lease book. So your books in asset management, all the books, there's one out there that gets added. Make sure that you have lease books that are set up and that you can select. That's just one setup that you have to do in every asset management business unit that has a lease administration business unit that gets created. More lessons learned. Add books to your BU. Don't forget the books in your BU. You may already have most of your books defined, corp, tax, whatever they are. We have not found very many needs where the lease administration module in and of itself forced another set of books within asset management. And we don't believe that that's any of our customers have had that need, but it may be. So more than likely, those books that are already set up for you in asset management are what you're going to be able to use in your lease administration setup. Let's see, what else are we doing here? I'm not going to dwell on that one. Accounting entry templates. So there will be several that need to be created. Your accounting entry templates for leases. We're suggesting that you create them for adds, transfers, retires, all of the typical ones, lease payments, prior period lease payments, and payment transaction types. All right. Asset profiles. Within your asset profile, we should have depreciable status for GASB, IFRS, and ASC 842 finance leases. For FASB 842, operating leases should be non-depreciable. So your asset profiles are dependent on you making that determination based on your accounting basis. These will drive the accounting entries that are created, but the guidance is that if it's an operating lease in ASC 842, that your asset profile should be related to non-depreciable. Okay, for finance leases, it's depreciable in every accounting basis. All right. Oh my goodness, I'm already at the end. There's lots of dates in lease administration, and I think that the biggest and most important one was the first thing I showed you, which is what was the date of commencement. Okay, when are we doing this? Within the leases themselves, we've got your termination, your signature dates, your accounting dates, the dates a new asset, right of use asset has been placed in service. Those are critical dates. Commencement date is the possibly the most important. And believe it or not, I'm already at the end of my presentation. I think I'm only about half an hour into this. My watch didn't stop. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over at the questions and see if any have accumulated while I was rambling on and on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we don't get that mirroring effect. And as I do that, we will go over to the questions and see. It doesn't look like there are any. Does anybody want, either in the chat or hi Coulter, or in the Q&A? I see 0 questions over in the Q&A. I feel like maybe I put people to sleep. Looking for your feedback here. I'll hang out as long as you want me. Seeing nothing. And Charlie, our organizer, is asking everyone to remember to fill out the evaluation forms in the chat. Charlie's got a link to the Smartsheet forms for you to fill out. I do hope that you take the time to go out there and fill those out. My the presentation, I guess it has to be converted to a PDF, and I'll do that, and it will be out there. My email is out there. Hopefully you've got a chance to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I will be happy to answer questions. If you think of them after the presentation, tomorrow, anytime, let me know, and we will be glad to respond as quickly as possible. All right, well, I'll tell you what, if you are, I'll stick around for maybe another 10 minutes. And I'll leave the Q&A open, but otherwise you feel free to maybe drop into another session if one's going. And thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference. I'm reading your email now, or your question. Transition capital leases from AM, should the payment schedule carry over? Yes, it should. And on your payment schedule, are you integrating, Sheila? Sorry, I don't remember the answer. Directly to AP? Did you set up a procurement contract? I can't remember. Or are you going straight from lease administration into AP? Hopefully you're hearing me. So Sheila, what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture this question and respond in an email, since I have your email address. And I'll actually get one of our lease administration technical resources, maybe Lax Rayala, to shoot you the appropriate answer to your question. But I believe the answer is yes. They'll carry over. Oh, yeah. you are going from AM to AP. No, you're going from LA to AP now, going from AM for payments. So I, I'm so sorry. I guess I'm losing where what the question is. You know what? We may need to, I may need to give you a call, Sheila, and get Lex on the phone. I'm so sorry. I'm missing. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that'll be fine. He's semi-retired, but I keep pulling him back in. Lex. Lex, by the way, was also instrumental in the ANZ implementation. I'm not sure if you knew that. I'm not seeing any new questions or chat. All right. Well, Sheila, you might be the only one left, but it was good chatting with you. And definitely, yeah, copy me on the email, and I'd love to see what the answer is. I believe my prediction will be right. I'm going to go ahead and end the session. I think that if anyone needs to get a hold of me, there's ample opportunity to do so. And hopefully I can see some of you at the 8 a.m. Eastern presentation on mobile expenses over at Hackensack Meridian. Awesome project. Okay, I'm going to end the session now. Thank you so much for your attendance.